Welcome back to another episode of Gay Problems. Thank you so much for sending in so many questions. I value them. I appreciate them. I'm going to brainstorm them from as many different angles as I can. And sometimes that's going to mean bringing in someone else to brainstorm with me. And I want to hear from you. I'm not the authority. I'm just a very, very queer person. Sometimes I'm so queer, I feel like I forget that I even am queer. I don't even think about it that much. And then I feel out of place when I'm in queer circles because I feel like it's not something that I think about enough. But it's like there's no amount to think or not think about it. One thing that I'm picking up on is a theme of people feeling displaced, and that just might be part of the human condition, always feeling a little bit different. And then when you're not actually part of the group that is reflected in the most people, that's going to add fuel to the feeling different flame. I'm going to get right into it because I have so many of them, and I'm going to do everything I can to stay on track. And if you're wondering, as a side note, my colonoscopy went great. It went so well, I thought the doctor was flirting with me. He was like, your colon, he didn't say awesome, but that was implied. So my colonoscopy went great, and I'll catch more up about that at the end. I'm going to get right into the first one. Gay problem: when your bestie introduces you to another of their friends, that person starts flirting with you. Now your bestie is upset and blames you, even though all you did was exist as a queer person. This happens too often. Is this a gay problem, or are you just winning? This just sounds like a flex. You're getting hit on all the time. Your friend's jealous of it. You should have some type of a fragrance or a how-to book, something good for you. But I understand the frustration because it's like, am I just getting sexualized? I do think that happens sometimes when people don't know how to be around someone that they can see is queer or they know is queer. And they're trying to find their footing in it. And I think it's because we're so conditioned to interact under the assumption that everybody's straight. And then when someone isn't that, you're trying to compartmentalize and figure out how to relate. And then for some people, it's calling themselves into question. And it's like the system is short circuiting. So they flirt. That's one school of thought. Or you're just hitting it from all fronts. You're attractive. You've got a vibe. You've got an energy. And maybe your best friend is in love with you too. I'm sure that they are, but maybe there's a little bit of an energy there where they're jealous because they want to have you for themselves. Congratulations on being so desirable. That is a frustrating thing, and is one of those things where it's like, am I getting othered? Am I getting sexualized? Or am I just so awesome and irresistible to everybody that everyone just wants to flirt with me? Next one. I'm a straight guy and I'm into women, and almost all of my relationships are with women because I'm straight. I have, however, slept with a trans woman and have also had a boyfriend who I really liked. Trans woman doesn't count towards me being gay because I love that we're taking like points here. Imagine I was tallying like, wait, that's 0.1 points towards the, oh, no, minus that. Trans woman doesn't count towards me being gay because the ones I was with were basically women, and with the guy, the relationship was exactly how it was with a girl, except he was a guy, if that makes sense. It makes sense. I made some friends online, and somehow this conversation came up, and they said I'm gay or bi, which to me is basically gay. First of all, you sound awesome. Second, someone saying you're bi wouldn't mean that we can't erase the bi. This is something people jump to real quick, and I've done it myself. I've done it myself. And I think the nucleus of it comes from a lot of times when people come out of the closet, they do a soft launch on the bisexual front. I did it, and look at me. The first time I came out, I said, I'm bi, and everyone went, sure. But maybe I really would have been bi, and then they would have been denying that reality for me. That didn't end up being the case, and I ended up fueling where the stereotype comes from of why bi people get erased all over the place. And then also a lot of times I think people think when someone is bi, but then they go into what would be perceived as this heterosexual relationship, they think that bi-ness is erased, but it's not. It's, I eat meat, I can go into a vegetarian restaurant, I'm still a meat eater. They're still bisexual in that straight relationship. It doesn't get taken away. It's just the lived reality is they've gotten into a heteronormative situation, but that doesn't make them any less bi or any less queer or any of that. So in your case, no one else can tell you what you are. So at first I was thinking, okay, let's brainstorm about like, what do you really get off to? And that can help lead us in the direction of what your sexuality is. But then I thought, if my sexuality was what I really get off to, I would be locked away because I watch really fucked up porn. I hate to to yucca yum, but I watch pretty dark stuff. So if the most recent porn I watched was, it was definitely filmed in an Eastern European country. I'm basing that off the accents. And it was glory hole porn where there was just like all these women like chained up. But it was, shot as a porn. I wasn't watching snuff stuff. But it's like, I'm not going to say that's my sexuality. So I backtracked on that. In your case, it sounds like you're queer. That's why we have queer. That's why we have the umbrella queer. It sounds like you're attracted to feminine energied people, and I completely understand that, where you're being like, I'm with a guy, but it was just like being with a girl. Every girlfriend I've ever had says you're whatever you are, but it's just like being with a guy. And then they've gone on to say, and it's not just like being with a guy, it's like being with the worst type of guy. That's the feedback that I get. One time I had a girlfriend throw a dildo at my head, and she said, you're worse than any man I've ever been with, because I broke up with her after I ate her birthday cake. It was something weird like that. I remember Nicole, and we're still good friends now, or we weren't for a long time. I'll tell, and this is the story. I go to break up, but I was nervous to get to it, and she had made this cake, and she was like, should we eat the cake now, or should I save it to bring over to my friend's house? And I was trying to buy time before doing the breakup, so I said, let's eat this cake now. And she was taking a baking class. She spent all this time on it. So we eat the cake, and then right after we eat the cake, I go, I don't want to be in a relationship anymore. And she's like, you fucking asshole. Why did you eat the cake? I could have brought this with my friend's thing. Like, why are you're such a dick? And then we started arguing, and she ended up throwing the dildo at my head and said, you're worse with any guy that I've ever been with. And I've been with lots of women who have said this, bisexual women who say this just mirrors being with a straight guy 100%. Just today, I texted my girlfriend and I said, when I can do a cold plunge for 3 minutes, will you come watch me? That's straight hell. So a relationship with a guy can be just like mirroring your relationship with women, because it's that balance, it's that energy, it's that queerness. There's nothing more to figure out than it's that queer umbrella that you get to dance and play around in. And your friends online, maybe they're kidding around, but that's truly where I think that it comes from someone saying you're bi and then jumping to, oh, that isn't a real thing. It just means that I'm gay. I mean, certainly you're not gay. You're sleeping with women. You're enjoying primarily being with women. I feel like there's some word for it where it's maybe you're heteroromantic, where you'd only be in relationships with women, but then you can also have sex with men. I know that people go back and forth on that. Like, I've been with people who have been home where they've only could be in a relationship with a queer person, or only in a relationship with women, but then they could have sex with men, but that's them as a woman. So there's all different way. If this was characters that we got to pick from, like I did a show in virtual reality a couple weeks ago. They've got a comedy club in the virtual reality space, and they had me pick my little representative. I forget what they're called. The little, not Android, whatever it is. It's like the computer version of you. They had me pick that person, and I was like, oh, this is going to be absolutely brutal. And it was. I looked like Guy Fieri. Guy Fieri ate Justin Bieber a little bit. It was not a good look, because they couldn't get the body right and the head right. It was a mess. But say we were picking out the little characters that we would be in that space. If it were sexuality, there would be an infinite amount of things to pick from, because that's how many options there are. So don't let someone tell you what you are or you aren't. Only you get to decide that. And it's not set in stone. It changes. It doesn't mean that your core root of attractions could change, which they could, but it means like whatever it is you decide right now, yeah, essentially it could go and grow, and who knows where we'll end up. But that's not said in a way. I feel like sometimes people say that in a way to like invalidate someone's experience. Like, I remember when I went on Accutane, which is for your skin, and they said you have to go on birth control when you take this. And I said, no, I'm gay. And they said, well, people say that, and then they, do not gay stuff, and they get pregnant. And it's like, it's not invalidating it like that. It's kind of like, once we deconstruct it and analyze it, then there's a safe space to say, but hey, also whatever. Next question. So why the fuck is in all capitals, so why the fuck is it okay for my lesbian friend to try and convince my girlfriend to be gay, but when I try to convince my lesbian friend's girlfriend to be straight, it's a problem? What in the double standard is this? First and foremost, on the zoomed in, I always confuse macro and micro, on the zoomed in level, that's annoying, and I don't like it when when people try to do that, it's a joke that makes me cringe. Like when a gay guy tries to joke around about turning a straight guy gay, unless that seems like the straight guy has fun with it. And in this zoomed in situation, gives me a little bit of the hee. However, zoomed out, it's not totally a double standard because the power dynamic here is totally different. Everybody is always saying, be straight, be straight. Every message you get, be straight, be straight, be straight. So she's got society working against her in every single way. So when you're doing it, it just makes for such a different power dynamic. And then it means that it's not actually a full-on double standard. But in the zoomed in thing, I don't want to invalidate that that's annoying. Maybe the friend is uncomfortable with themselves, and so they're making a joke out of it because it's a way to like initiate, it's trying to show a level of like comfortability. I don't personally like it, and I would say you are 100% within bounds to be like, hey, it makes me really uncomfortable when you try to convince my girlfriend to be a lesbian because it's my girlfriend and you're my friend and this feels rude. I would say go for that. And if they disrespect that, kick her in the nuts. And if they disrespect that, then you need to have a conversation with yourself like, okay, the joke's over. Like, stop. It's not funny to me anymore. But zoomed out, just so you have all the context going in, power dynamic wise, I guess congratulations, you've got all the power societally in this situation generally. But that's not to say that it's not annoying having your lesbian friend do it. And look, I don't know. These lesbians can be pushy as a motherfucker. There's a real situation with very aggressive, like toxic masculinity in women that it seems like it's a society we don't know how to engage with yet. I remember, since we were talking about my girlfriend Nicole, the one who threw the dildo at my head. To be fair to her, I ate this beautiful cake of hers when I didn't need to. I remember being with her in Provincetown, and it was a woman's weekend, okay? She's very feminine, because, of course, for me. She's very feminine. We're walking around, and it was women's weekend, and there was all these, like, rugby, like, butch women there. And we would just be walking to where we were staying, and she would be getting catcalled like I've never seen in any hetero environment ever. And it's like, what's up? Where you going later? Like, what's it? Oh, yeah. My girlfriend now gets catcalled in New York City. It was nothing like these rugby animals. So there's a real, and I was like not knowing, I was kind of like, I would take a taxi, an Uber everywhere because I wouldn't know how to deal with these just, it's a lot. So they can be very aggressive and it's not fun to deal with. But zoomed out, there's still a structural imbalance there. Okay, now we have this next question Now this one, oh my goodness, shaking in my freaking boots here, because it has to do with Taylor Swift, and you just hear these things about once you mention Taylor Swift, you get descended upon. So Taylor Swift. So here's the thing. I don't love Taylor Swift. So here's the thing. I don't love how Taylor Swift handles her PR regarding being accused of being bisexual. I hate it, actually. There's nothing wrong with being bisexual, and yet she, and then in these things, and in quotes, her people, have put out something saying it's inappropriate. What in the hell? If she's straight or bisexual, does it matter? To someone who's an ally, I don't understand why she gets seemingly offended by those accusations, and honestly, it feels like she does this the most to fan the fires of queer culture. Ooh. It's just my opinion, and I would never out someone. I just hate her response. It's like Shawn Mendes and his bullshit. Maybe I'm taking this too personally. Story of my life, I get that. Maybe I'm taking this too personally. I probably am, but it just feels crappy. The girl typing up a storm, LOL. So I appreciate saying her people, because the truth is someone that is this big has probably a team of like 20 people that's actually in charge of putting out the final product of what, quote unquote, she says here. First of all, I hear you, and I'm so sorry that wasn't the bisexual representation that it could have been, or the opportunity to support bisexuals that it could have been, because first and foremost, not only is there nothing wrong with being bisexual, I would say it should be encouraged. That's my favorite of the group. My favorite of the queers is the bisexual. It's making me blush just even thinking about them. It's too bad. In a perfect world, she would have been like, I'm not, but oh my God, thank you. If only, like my therapist, who I often compare to Taylor Swift. my therapist, whose name's Barbara. I thought Barbara was straight, and then she said something. I swear I thought she said that she was queer. And I remember being like, what? Months later, I re-bring it up. I said, well, you're queer. And she said, no, I'm not. And I went, oh, I'm sorry. I thought that you had said that you were. And then she did this thing that liberal straight people do. She starts apologizing for being straight. She starts going, well, no, it's just that I'm attracted to men. I wish I wasn't. My husband. And I went, Barbara, good for you for being straight. You do not have to apologize. She goes, no, I wish I wasn't though. And I go, I'm so happy that you are. You've got more options. That's all good for you. And then she like doubled down. She's like, no, it's just, I can't help it. It's just so maybe that would have been nice if Taylor Swift took that opportunity and was like, damn, if only. And then her PR person would have been going in the back like, no, we're going to sell tickets in Ohio. No. Although shout outs to all the queer people in Ohio, of course. That said, it wasn't coming from nowhere that they were thinking she was bisexual, because Taylor Swift came out saying, why are all my female relationships getting sexualized? Well, they're not. It was just the ones when a picture was taken of you making out with your friend, and then the other story of her being like BFFs with someone and then them just suddenly stopping talking after being together on a tour bus. Do you remember that? I was deep on the Reddits with that, where it was like she had this really good friend and they were like super close and she was touring with her and then they like just stopped talking. That's a little incriminating. But who knows? And people shouldn't be sexualizing her friendships with. But I don't think the majority of people were sexualizing her friendships with Blake Lively. I think the majority of people were just like, why are you friends with Blake Lively? But it is too bad that it was handled in that way, because this is what I think it comes down to. I think the frustration, truly, the root of it is that there's just not that much bisexual representation, so it would have been so nice to have some more. If we had a plethora of it. Look, I went to this wedding. It was a couple months ago. Now, not to go off topic, but I'm sober and I had a relapse. I'm sober, but I relapsed on weed gummies. And before I had told my girlfriend that I had relapsed on the weed gummies, I took some weed gummies and I went to her friend's wedding. So there's a lot wrong with this situation. And I also took too many weed gummies. So while we're on the train down, I'm realizing I'm too fucking stoned for this. I'm relapsed. That's a special type of hell when you've been sober and then you do something, you take a substance that's mind altering, and then it's like you're very, very conflicted about it. So I'm high. We go to this wedding. I'm paranoid that someone can tell that I'm high. Also, side note, the wedding was only a couple months ago. They already got divorced. I'm not taking responsibility for that. That had nothing to do with me being stoned at the wedding. Yada, yada, yada. This wedding, and I'm not just saying this because I happened to be high at the wedding, it had one of the best buffets I've ever seen in my life. It was in New Jersey, and they were Italian, and needless to say, the buffet was stacked. This buffet I've never seen more prosciutto in my entire life. Now, there was so many desserts and hors d'oeuvres and treats and meats and vegans and options, and I don't know if there were vegans there, but vegan options and cheese and just delectable everything. And I really had to take a moment and go, am I just stoned right now? And it's just a plate of cookies and I'm romanticizing it. No, this was an absolutely luscious, incredible buffet. If this buffet was a music video, girl, it would have been the thickest, the most baddest. It would have walked by and Trina would have been like, ooh, shit, I can't even compete. That's how bad this buffet was. If there was a rotten piece of fruit on that buffet, I wouldn't have even noticed or given two flying cares in the world, because there were so many options. Now, if there was just one little plate of fruit and there was a rotten piece on it, I would have really noticed it. In the case of Taylor Swift and the bisexual representation, there just isn't very much at all. So any little shred of maybe getting it, we're blowing out because we want it so much, because it feels so good and it's so important to be recognized. So number one, I'm recognizing you. I'm recognizing your frustration here. And it's too bad this wasn't it wasn't what it could have been. Like you said, she's got a bunch of people. She's got a bunch of other factors like rampant sexism and homophobia working against her. And it's just simply too bad. But it does seem like more and more bisexual people, queer people are popping up. So many bisexual people are popping up that it's like, is everybody bisexual? No, it's just that we're seeing more of it. Although it does feel like in New York, I was with a straight friend the other day, and she was like, "Well, I don't know, everybody's gay," and I was like, "Don't." No, you're straight. You're just around a lot of gay people. This is what happens, especially when you live in these certain pockets of Manhattan. And then I understand if you're watching this and you're like, I wish I was in one of those pockets. But it can then start to like skew your reality of like what it actually is like out there. I hope I covered that. If someone else has more to weigh in on the Taylor Swift stuff, please let me know. Oh, but net, I totally think she's bisexual. She gives a vibe. I can't quite put my finger on it. But she's bisexual, and you know who's straight as shit is Patrick Mahomes' wife. That woman is heterosexual, and I'm not trying to pawn her off on heterosexuals. That woman is heterosexual, and I'm picturing that she likes to talk about like being a Republican while she's getting fucked. This is just a vibe that she's getting, like that I'm getting from her. This is purely based off of nothing but what I sense from her personality. Now this next one was so beautiful, and I felt so honored that someone shared it. Okay, here it is. There's a lot I really like about being a trans woman, and a lot of indicators that it's right for me, but I miss having gay sex with gay guys in a gay way so bad, like every single day. I love being gay with gay boys so bad to the extent it's giving me a whole gender crisis. I need both one specific gay man I'm currently down bad for, and also I need gay sex in general, and the sex I've been having with guys as an out full-time trans woman sucks. And even when it's physically satisfying, I can't really connect with these men the way I would when it was gay boy plus gay boy. Sad. I'm going to explore the side of my presentation again. I'm going to explore the boy side of my presentation again, but I'm very conflicted about it. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. Thank you. I think this is a great example of lots of things can be true at once, and things don't always fit in a neat little binary, and attraction is complex and incredible. And I do also, one thought from this is when you meet the right person, they will be able to recognize and see all those sides of you. And it doesn't make you any less of a woman to be having these fantasies about gay men sex. I watch gay guy porn all the time. Today. It doesn't make you any less of a woman, and it also makes a lot of sense that you're going to miss something that you used to experience and enjoy, and the adjustment period of being the woman that you are on the outside with these new sexual partners is really interesting, and I'm sure it's something you couldn't have foreseen until you were in it, and then saying, hey, I actually don't like sexually in this instance being recognized this way. Outside of the sexual realm, are you feeling more comfortable with the presentation of being the woman that you are recognized out and about? But then is it specifically when you're having sex, you're like, shit, I wish this was gay guy sex? It's a really interesting thing to think about. And you could also perform sex as a gay man and still be a trans woman. There are no rules. None. So if there's anything I could impart, it's like, don't feel conflicted about it. It's an opportunity, and good for you for being so goddamn dynamic. You know, there's certain women that I've been with that when they like try to like feminize me, no matter how attracted to them I am, then suddenly I'm not attracted to them anymore. And then there's women I've been with that I have not been attracted to, who then see me in a way that I want to be seen, and then I'm extremely attracted to them. I used to have, not cyber sex, but like texting sex with someone who was trans, male to female. And I used to have texting sex with a cis guy who just liked to pretend that he was a woman on the sexting. I used to spend a lot of time online figuring things out. And it was fun. It was fun until the guy that I was always like practice the sexting with, it was purely online. I put up this ad trying to find someone to practice dirty talking with me because my girlfriend at the time had a lot of dirty talk experience. So I was trying to like get caught up. And this guy would start asking for us to meet up in person. He was like, we got to meet up in person. And part of me was like, maybe. And then he said, yeah, let's get some cheesecake. And I was like, okay, or we could get lunch. And he was like, no, I love cheesecake. And his fixation on cheesecake, that to me was like, this is a little weird. This is why specifically cheesecake? And I couldn't move on from that, so I blocked him on everything. This was a little while ago. If someone has any other thoughts, positively and supportively, that they would like to weigh in on this specific experience of being a trans woman with lots of indicators that it is the right thing, but missing the type of sex that you used to have, I would love to hear it. I'm going to discuss this with some other trans women. Next one. Here's my gay complaint / gripe. I'm bi and have done things, wink, wink, with women, but have never really dated a woman. I tend to be attracted to very feminine women, even more feminine than myself, and I'm pretty femme most days. So I tend to just assume most women I'm into are straight because of how feminine they are. So many times I've had a crush on a girl and not made a move because I was like, oh, she obviously doesn't like girls. And then months later, I'll see her hard launch a girlfriend on Instagram and I'll be like, fuck, it should have been me, in all caps. Even girls I've hooked up with, I'm just like, well, she's just a straight girl experimenting, having a little fun because it feels good. We could never date. And then it ends there. I'm dating a guy right now and I'm very happy and I wouldn't change anything about it. But sometimes I feel like I'm not queer enough or haven't earned my real queerness because I've never had a girlfriend. But it's simply that my gaydar sucks and my own internalized, outdated perception of femininity got me fucked up. So truly, you never have to earn any queerness ever. It's just there. And if someone makes you feel like you have to earn it, that person's a fucking loser. Kick them out and they have to start from scratch. They're bad vibes. Minimum bad vibes. If someone ever makes you... But then sometimes we got to think, was it one particular person that made me feel like I wasn't queer enough? Or is it like my perception of what it means to be? There's like so many different things where it's like when we really get to the root of it, it's like, where is that coming from? And it's coming from lots of different places, probably very rooted in the idea of things need to look this way. If you don't look this way, if you don't act this way, then you are not this thing. But that's just not how it is because it's something so much bigger, so much more beyond that, much more intrinsic and complex. There's no one way that it's packaged. So queerness isn't something you have to like pick up points for. And you know, maybe it comes, I've done it before too, where if like I'm trying to figure out someone's sexuality and I can't, I'm like, oh, well, what kind of socks are they wearing? Like, do they like cashew butter or peanut butter? And you start looking at these obscure things, trying to look for clues, which could also be taken as points where it's like, okay, this person, they're on the softball team, they're wearing flannel, they're driving a Subaru, they're listening to Melissa Etheridge, they're singing karaoke to Tegan and Sarah, but then they're like, and I'm straight, and you're like, how could this be? They've got too many queer indicators. They're straight because they're straight, and it is how it is. It sounds like fear, which, fear. My fear manifests itself a lot as anger, and I think fear is actually the braver form of anger because it's more tender, so it's easier to work with. But it sounds like, I wonder if maybe the next time you're with a woman, like just gently trusting, I mean, she's being with you, so she's giving you some type of a hint. You're getting far enough that you're actually having some physical interactions with these women. Holler. So you're doing that. Maybe take the next step and see if they want to go on a date. And it really is scary. I get that. It really is scary. And it's always, and it's kind of like with depression where it's like you feel depressed by something, or you're depressed and then you think that thing is depressing. And it's hard to know what came first. It's hard to know. I stopped taking my Wellbutrin for a little bit, which is an antidepressant, and I was steeped in depression. And my girlfriend would be like, did you stop taking your antidepressant? And I'd be like, that has nothing to do with it. It's because I'm 40 and my career's not where I want it to be and blah, 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 blah. And yeah, true, that might be depressing. But, or maybe my lack of applying my life skills and also just so happens to not be taking my antidepressants at that time is then creating this cocktail that's making it more depressing, and I'm blowing that out of proportion. So the way that relates to this is maybe it's like the fear of intimacy. Then we do have like the justifiable fear of, well, maybe this person isn't queer, but we're like blowing out that justifiable fear more than it actually applies to that situation because the person is in some way, some level of Fruit Loop if they're flirting with you or engaging with you or hooking up with you at all. So let's just, once we get to that point where there is a flirtation there, let's suspend and let them show us what level of whatever it is they are. And again, just like you, no one has to prove or fight for anything. But it's my humble vote that it's something that we are using as a block for fear of intimacy. So maybe just move it away. Next time you do the little whatever it is, then see if they want to do something outside of just the hookup realm. And then you'll be the one hard launching a relationship with them on Instagram and let someone else be like, damn, that could have been me. Next one. My gay problem is living in a city that has a thriving gay community coming from the South. People here don't realize how lucky they are to be able to be so publicly gay. And I think as a result, we treat each other like shit and take all this for granted. The dating scene here is absolutely brutal. And I need us to remember that we used to have to fight for this. Gay love is special and we need to treat it as such. That's my rant. I hear you. I will say, it seems like dating is generally brutal in general. Maybe not. This is what I hear, but this might actually be specifically to the age that I'm in. So in your 30s, this is the feedback that I get that is brutal. Because I have a feeling, a little like ESP, that for 20-year-olds in Brooklyn, they think it's fucking awesome. But I don't know. That's maybe just what I'm picturing kids these days are up to in some like polyamory, queer utopia, just like who knows what's going on. But the feedback is like dating is really hard. I mean, have I ever had fun with dating? I don't know. It's hard for me to be in tune with what I've had fun with in the past because I never used to know myself well enough to know what actually was fun for me or what was something that felt good that was actually destructive, if that makes any sense. Like things I used to think were fun, it was like, was that really fun or were you trauma bonding? Was that really fun or were you just getting fucked up with someone who had a bunch of problems they didn't want to work with, and so they're just getting just as fucked up as you, and you feel like you're relating about that. Now, I do know the things that I think are fun. I think red light therapy is fun. I think reading about NAD is fun. I'm a loser. But, that's all to say, dating, so I can't be a reliable narrator on dating, but dating, no matter where you are, is tough. My girlfriend used to go on tons of dates. And she said she even liked dating. And still she said dating was tough because she said everybody's racist. And she was Mexican and she was dating people in Chicago. That was her experience with that. Not to speak for her, but I remember her saying dating, it was very tough because of that. Now, so I think there's like a few different things here. There's the resentment of these people aren't appreciating the opportunity to be out. And that is so true. We all should be taking a moment to appreciate that more. How nice it is, and how nice it is to have other people around you and have this whole community and then be like, we're going to come this far to then get cliquey. We're going to come this far to be sassy, to be bitchy, to be not accepting. And it seems like straight people have to deal with that too, but then it seems like, okay, it's like with gay people, we've had to fight to be presented and had these things like working against us. So it's almost like, shouldn't we then be nicer when we get into it? That's why I am shooketh. We're all see it is, I mean, occasionally a gay guy will be bitchy to me, but just as often gay guys will be the best. But sometimes I'll meet a masculine presenting woman and she's an ass. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? It's like a tufting of the feathers. Like, ugh. And that, I'm like, get over yourself. And then I'm like, I hate them, and I'll be more angry at them than I would be just to a standard person who's standoffish. I love a friendly butch lesbian, though. Nothing's better in my book. Friendly butch lesbian, like a fratty one, butch lesbian stud, whatever. That to me is the most fun. I'm sorry the dating scene is brutal. I hear you. We should be appreciating being in a place where we can be out. What can we do to make it more inclusive. Probably it starts with us as individuals being like, okay, I'm more comfortable with myself. I'm not going to play too cool for school. I'm going to be friendly. Not in a way that is over the top or fake to who I am, but I'm going to be friendly. I do that. Sounds like you do that. And we are looking at, why are other people not doing that? How lucky are we to have the appreciation of, or no, how lucky are we to just not be like that? Because to me, lame. Problem, being pan and feeling like I don't belong in any queer spaces if I date someone of the opposite sex. I'm too queer for straight people and not queer enough for queer folks. Being told it's a phase now, I'm 51, and other things to erase by pan folks. It's so funny for someone to say something's a phase. I got that from my mom a lot too, actually, even after I graduated college. She was like, so, and I was like, so what am I going to do for work? She's like, yeah, and I was like, when am I going to move out? She's like, and also, and I was like, and she's like, you think you're going to have a boyfriend? And I'm like, I wasn't just out in college. I was like a shithead in college. I was like, I was like, you've met a lot of girlfriends at this point where it's like, not only am I gay, I'm shitty gay. And she was like, I don't know, I just had to ask. So I wonder where that comes from, people saying that. I wonder if at the nucleus it's like, there's a empathy. Obviously, society has an empathy problem where it's hard for people to understand how someone can be different from them. We see that, and you see it all the time in comedy where someone will be like, that person's not funny, that person is funny. Or how about we step out and say, you don't think that person's funny, you do think this person's funny. There's not one objective truth, and thank God. Would you really want to be creating one objective truth? Do you think you're the highest being? Are you just admitting you're a narcissist? But there's like this like chip of empathy that's missing. And that just sucks. It just sucks. And it really sucks having people say it's just a phase, because this shouldn't be anything that you have to justify no matter what age you're at. And I relate to it. I hear you with feeling like for straight people, you're not this, for this people, you're not that. And it's like, no, wherever you go, you're not enough unless you're like some obvious little cookie cutter thing. I really relate to that career-wise, actually, because I'll do really mainstream places. And I'm like, I'm kind of gay for mainstream places. But then when I'm in these gay spaces, I'm way not just talking about the specific gay stuff that I feel like would really rile up that group. And I feel like I've gotten lost in the mix in a lot of ways because it's almost been like too broad. And now more than ever, people want you to just be segmented into one thing. They want you to be in one little box. Literally, they want you to be in something that is a specific algorithm. And that's so dangerous, because then we're always putting things in these little boxes and binaries. And it's not just, it makes things easier to communicate, sure, quickly, but quick communication is the death of the empathetic long-term brain. I think, humbly. Take it from me, I was in special ed for 7 years and counting. This is all just a brainstorm. But I'm sorry that people are doing that. And also it's like, it's not a phase. What would be the problem if it was? Ask them, be like, I don't know, is your relationship a phase? How can everything is a fleeting moment? We're all just specks of dust, fuckhead. And you always belong in a queer space, even if you are dating someone of the opposite sex, because you're still queer. Okay, gay problem. Every gay man I've ever met is in love with my husband. I don't understand. He's a round, short, balding guy. He's super cool and fun to be around, but I don't know why all these guys are always hitting on him. Is this a looks thing? Well, it's probably a lot of things. Probably they're attracted to him for the same reason you are attracted to him. Maybe they feel safe around him too. He must be giving off some type of energy where they feel comfortable, because look, some gay guys, this is not the case, but for this many gay men to be hitting on your husband, there must be some safety aspect where they know that it is like a safe space for them to flirt, and hopefully they're not being too pushy, because no one should be too pushy. And I hate it when queer people hide behind that umbrella where it's like they're grabbing or being touchy. I've seen comics who jokes about it, like a gay guy's grabbing my girlfriend, like I'm not okay with that. And if she's not okay with it, then it's like, this is just not okay. No touching, no matter what. If it's not invite only. Touching is an invite only situation. But they're attracted to your husband. Yes, that is a desirable, as you described him, round, short, and balding. That is a desirable body type, a desirable style to gay men and straight women. He must have good energy, good vibes. Also, maybe they're thinking that you're a safe space too, and so they're like, we want to let her. It's like they're flirting with you by flirting with him. They're paying their respects in a way. It's interesting that it's every gay man. He must really be like matching. I mean, to get into like the porn niche of it, he must really look like a dad, like a daddy type of guy. And that is very attractive to lots of people. And maybe women, because they know he's straight, are respecting, like, okay, we're not going to hit on him. And then because gay men know that he's straight, they're like, I can, look, if me and you were at a restaurant and I'm a vegan and you're eating a hamburger and I'm like, God damn, that looks good. I'm just eating it. I'm going to eat it. I'm going to eat it. I'm going to eat it. You wouldn't actually be threatened that I'm going to eat it because I'm a vegan. So maybe it's the gay guys are just being like, I can hit on this guy I can compliment him all I want because it's not actually rude to the relationship because that doesn't line up with his sexuality. That's being very nice to the gay guys. But this is all to say, if any of those gay guys get too touchy or too flirty in a way you don't like, shoot them with a squirt gun. Would be my vote. I believe this is why Nerf guns were invented. Pow, pow. Respect the boundaries. But good for your husband. He must be a fun guy. Lucky you. Rub that bald little head. And do the last one. Oof, this one was, girl, how about trying to kick the T out of the LGBTQ? That's the biggest one I see. What brought you to that place to ever want to try to kick someone out and to be so hurtful and mean and cruel? And how did you get there? You really have to take a real look at yourself. And I understand being ignorant. I really do. I get it. I've been that person, not quite this bad ever, or even close to it, if I'm being totally honest. Like, how do you get through the day? Probably pretty smoothly, honestly. You're probably pretty pleased with yourself. I have a friend of a friend of a friend, and we were talking about our recovery scores. I used to track my metrics with everything. I had all of these. I became obsessed with tracking devices. So I had something called a Whoop. I had an Oura Ring and an Apple Watch and an oximeter. So I had all these monitoring devices, right? And my heart rate variability, which is something that measures basically the rate of your rest and digest and fight or flight response. And you want that to be very robust because it shows an ability to adapt to stress situations and relaxing situations. And then in those relaxing situations, that's when your body heals. So you want a very robust heart rate variability. For a long time, mine was not robust at all. And that shows that you're basically trapped in fight or flight, right? But I was doing all of these healthy things, but I was still trapped in fight or flight. And that is a mental head game, right? I'm exercising. I'm doing all of this recovery stuff. I'm eating well. But my mind is making my cortisol, the stress hormone, spike, right? So I was comparing this to a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend. I'm really trying to hide their identity here. And they had a really high HRV. And I go, yeah, that's also because they're an idiot. They're not that healthy, but they're an idiot. So they're not overthinking. They're pleased with themselves. They're just walking around like, good one to me. And so their cortisol is awesome. Hopefully they go to hell or karma comes around in some way. This isn't even a bad person. That's just me just hating. But it's like, I just wonder how saying, let's remove the T, it's like you and me wondering, how do you get through the day? You probably, sadly, get through the day very well. Or maybe not. Or maybe you are T and you're so deep, deep, deep in the self-hatred that you want it to remove because you want to remove yourself because you can't face yourself. And I used to be against gay marriage. I used to make fun of gay people. So absolutely not remove the T. And I am sorry for you for whatever it is. This is the, in the Southern version, when someone's telling you to go fuck yourself, they say, bless your heart. This is me. This is my version of that, where it's like, I don't know, bless your heart here. Like, I don't know. The best part of me, if I'm all like juiced up spiritually, it's like, where are you coming from? How did we get here? Like, what's your actual problem? What is the actual misunderstanding? What do you think that is? Like, what do you think that is? You might not even know. I remember I was in the closet. I was out of the closet in college, but then I did this summer program and I was traveling around with this girl and it was just the two of us. And I'd only been out for like 1 year and we're traveling around Europe. And I never said I was gay because I didn't want her to feel uncomfortable because it was just the two of us. And we were like share, we spoke different languages. She spoke a little bit of English, Katrina, I think her name was. And we were solo, we had done a volunteer thing together. Talk about a privileged kid thing to do. It was one of those volunteer things where you like pay to do yard work. I paid to like clean up a trail in Holland. And then so me and this other girl whose family like paid for her to go do yard work. We then went camping around, and I remember I was drinking at times, so we were like drinking wine, eating cheese. And she was like, I really just don't know any gay people. I don't know if I would have anything in common with one. And I remember being like, yeah, I don't know. And it was like, that would have been an opportunity for me to be like, well, I'm gay. And we've like spent like a month now traveling around together. And I didn't, because I was scared and I was more evolved in my process than it sounds like this person is. But I could have been like, I don't know, like fuck those people, like blah, blah, blah. Because you're scared of people seeing you. There's so many more gay problems, and I can't wait to get into them with more people who have different lived experiences than my own, so we can really tackle these. Write in ticketsforemma@gmail.com. And now, quick little side thing. Okay, write in ticketsforemma@gmail.com. Thank you so much. Little side thing. Okay, Patreon. The colonoscopy goes great. The day before was absolute pure hell. I was hangry. I almost got in a fight. These people were doing fireworks on the street. I was going to go fight them. I was feeling dizzy. It was awful. No good, right? Do that. Go in. Get the colonoscopy. Not to brag. I fucking killed it. I go in. They give me the propanol. I pass right out. And I was scared because I have this friend who has a joke about her biggest fear. Her name's Corinne Fisher, and she has a joke where she's like, my biggest fear is that I'm going to get anesthesia and then I'm going to say something racist. So when I saw her do that joke, I started getting scared. Like, oh my God, what if I say something racist? Oh my God. And I had that in my head. And then the guy giving the anesthesia was an Indian doctor. And then there was other people of color in there. And I was like, oh my God, am I about to say something racist? I didn't say that, thank God. But I was like, oh God, I hope. But what happened was they just give it to you and you just fall asleep. But I had seen her joke, and then I thought, oh my God, imagine that happens. So it doesn't happen. They're like, the guy's like, your ass is good. He said it in medical terms or whatever. I think he was trying to flirt with me because he was like, your colon's popping off or whatever. So now I got to figure out where my digestive issues are coming from. I think it's all based off of how I handle stress, which is not well. And so I'm going to have to do a deep dive into how to handle stress better, which kind of is upsetting because like that's stressful. It's like, great, another thing. But that's the update on the colon stuff. Thank you so much for bearing with me on this colonoscopy journey. Thank you.